was like, if you touch me, you gon' get some, bro. I don't condone violence, but I do condone self-defense. If you are physically putting your hands on somebody to restrain them or stop them from exercising their rights to freedom of movement on or off your set, you can get some too. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the StormCast. It's me, Folu Storms, in a brand new space, a brand new setup. Thank you so much for coming back. I really appreciate you. Thank you guys for listening. I pinky promise we're going to be here together for the long haul, like we're doing this. There's so much to talk about. But today, I want to kick off the StormCast, which this is kind of a new season. We're going to call it season 3. But it really is just like episode 14, 13. Anyways, one of those episodes. We're going to kick it off talking about integrity, influence, and the thirst for recognition. This is of particular interest to me because things have been happening in my personal life and things have been happening in the news that I definitely want to I want to share a little bit. And you guys, as usual, jump in the comments. Let me know for how long you've been listening to the StormCast. Let me know what you like about the StormCast. Let me know how you want to interject. And let me know your thoughts about this particular story. So let me get into it, okay? I have notes. The girl has notes and receipts. Overall, today's theme is about navigating that internal conflicts between personal emotions and public integrity and the external desire for validation. And all of this is based on recent events that happened between a very public a government figure, an official, because like the Nigerian government constantly gives me interesting things to talk about, and a young soldier. And I'm sure you already know what I'm talking about. So recently there was an incident between the FCT minister, Nyesom Wike, and a military officer. And it led to some soldiers preventing the FCT demolition squad from pulling down a structure on a land belonging to an ex-chief of naval staff at the Gadua district in Abuja. So this property, allegedly owned by retired Vice Admiral Zubairu Gambo, who served as Chief of Naval Staff under former President Muhammad Buhari. And there was a senior army officer on site, A.M. Yarima, who denied not just the workers, but eventually the FCT minister, when he came to the site to insist that everybody, Claire, who are you? You're here to intimidate people. It was serious drama. The video is circulating online. I'm sure you can catch it. I'll put like a little link in here so that you can see the video for those of you who are watching on YouTube. And it was a very big deal. And Yarima said, no, they're not here to intimidate any government officials, that the development on the land was actually backed by approvals that were obtained legally through the proper authorities, and that and the only reason the soldiers were present on the site is because workers of the FCDA came to disturb them, and then he was issued an order by the admiral. So he was following orders. He said the papers were complete and had been submitted, and they would be resubmitted. But the minister was not having it and pulled up in person, screaming, yelling. I mean, it was quite a scene. And at the end of the day, he was still denied entry. So he had to turn around and stroll back to his car. It was a walk of shame. It doesn't matter what you want to tell me. It was a walk of shame. And it was disgraceful to the office of the minister because, there's a lot of conversation around it. But why did he have to go down there? Why go there? I think that was such a clear incident of when we allow personal emotions and personal feelings, when we feel that, don't you know who I am? And this is a big deal in our country. For those who are not Nigerian, I don't know about anywhere else. We're like, don't you know who I am? Like, why are you blocking me? How dare you? Because it escalated to insults. It was like, oh, who are you to speak to me? You should shut up when I'm talking. And the soldier very calmly said, I will not shut up, sir. I'm a soldier in the Nigerian army. I have integrity. I'm an officer. I have integrity. And I just thought it was just such a clear example of one person allowing personal emotion to override common sense and common thought and how we should behave, and another person standing firm in integrity, standing firm in orders and hierarchy, refusing to be intimidated. Because I thought it was also so ironic how the minister was talking about, the soldiers are here to intimidate. But what was the purpose of the minister going down there? For you and I that were watching this thing unfold, how many times in our personal life have we thought, they said what? I'm coming. And we roll up to the place. What is the purpose of that? Is it not to intimidate? Is it not to say that I am so recognized and I am so important and I am so larger than life, that if you can't get the job done, when I show up, I will get the job done. That's who I am. And this situation reminds us that even though you may have authority, or you think you have authority, there's a lot of impulse that authority allows us to indulge in, and it can lead to disgrace. Recently, I've been in my feelings a lot, and every time I get in my feelings like this, it reminds me of the earlier episode where I said, feelings are fickle, and we must learn to push past them, but it's so much easier said than done. I also had a personal situation with work where I got into a workspace and things were just not going the way I wanted it to. I thought I was being quite reasonable, but the individual I was interacting with, I felt was quite dismissive of the... One moment. Yeah, but the individual I was interacting with, I felt was quite dismissive of the needs that I had, which were very reasonable, I thought. And I was 0.2 seconds away from pulling rank, from saying, I'm going over your head. I'm going to call your boss. I'm going to do this. Why wouldn't you defer to me? Why wouldn't you bend over? Why wouldn't you? And it was so interesting because when you feel like there's an injustice happening, and when you feel justified in the feelings that are taking over your brain, it doesn't take very long for you to wield your perceived authority or your real authority on someone else. It doesn't take long for you to try and start intimidating the next person as a result. And that situation can go very badly. Just like we've kind of seen with the minister, it would just end in disgrace. Somebody would just say, yeah, all right, go ahead, call my boss. And what happens when the boss backs the person up? What happens when, even with all of that, maybe as Nigeria will have it, your network will just not go through. After you have been shouting and blustering, I'm going to call, you don't know, your network will now not go through. You are there dialing recklessly. How many times does it happen when maybe a parking attendant does that to you and they flex on you outside? It's crazy. I think there's so much emotional intelligence that we need to apply on a day-to-day level to prevent that happening. And then just even looking from the other side, why don't we respect chain of command? Why don't, as a people, why don't we respect chain of command? And just, it's such a human thing to keep wanting to jump over the chain of command. That's what I find so impressive about soldiers. And again, Taye Arimoro, I think it was a credit to his uniform and a credit to the army for the way that he handled what was a very volatile situation and what could have been a very awkward situation, because he stood firm in that chain of command. And that's really what soldiers do, right? They are so disciplined and they are so drilled into following commands that it doesn't matter what is going on in the outside world. They are unmoved and they are unshaken. What would it have taken for the minister to find out, okay, I've revoked this piece of land, I can't show up here, or this, it's a soldier or there are a group of soldiers that are there, let me call the president, let me call their commanding officer. That is the chain of command. That is the hierarchy that should have been followed. That is the way to address the situation, removing personal emotion from it, removing personal ego from it, and maintaining a certain level of integrity. When you overstep that chain of command, when you overstep boundaries, when you overstep reason and rationale, you lose your own integrity. Because in the papers going forward, after this incident occurred, you then have it's now a talking piece. Look at me, who am I to the FCT, to the minister of the FCT? Who am I? And I'm here doing cho on the minister's matter, because he put himself in that position. That's the reality. And as a public figure, and even if you're not a public facing figure, if you do that, even with your children, and I know that with parents and kids, it happens a lot where you're like, don't you, you must do what I say. Okay. But when you allow emotion to override common sense, you put yourself in a position for that child, for that person who is perceived to be less than you, to really talk back to you. You put yourself in a position to receive insults unnecessarily. And it's a real issue. I think it's also a test of integrity and what integrity means in high pressure situations. Is it about winning a battle or honoring a larger structure or a larger purpose? You know, is it really about that? Also, how do you pick your battles? Which battles are worth fighting and which battles must we leave alone? Because what is the opportunity cost of wasting energy on a minor issue versus directing it towards growth and value creation? Again, man, let me tell you, in the course of creating, whether it's this podcast or any kind of production, you face so many challenges. I operate in a really challenging environment. I don't know about you guys, but again, Nigerians, I think we all operate, and we know that we operate in a really challenging environment. And it is so, and all the time, and very often in the course of trying to create certain things. So this, for example, we had the wrong lenses show up. In fact, first there was a delay in getting the lenses. All right. Oh, you wait. Okay, cool. When are the right lenses? Okay, the lenses are coming. Okay, we're calling. You know how you do? You call dispatch. How far? Where are you? They come. Don't worry, I'll soon be there. But this location is 20 minutes away. Why are you not here yet? Eventually, my guy shows up with the wrong lenses, complete wrong lenses. And we're looking at the time. A setup that should have taken maybe an hour is now extended into 3 hours. I'm like, okay, how do we get the right lenses? And you're calling and you find out that the person who was supposed to send the lens did not do this on time. They didn't. And I feel like that's a perfect situation for you to say, do you know what? Forget all of this. What's the purpose of this? What are we even doing all of this for? Where it's such an easy moment to lose focus and to lose enthusiasm and to lose joy for what you're doing. And the frustrations are endless. And I remember just thinking, okay, it's okay. Take a deep breath. Let's just see, how do we get there? And then eventually you realize that, well, we still don't have what we want. The person who's promised that we're going to get this on time still hasn't shown up. I'm like, all right, bite the bullet. Like, what's the higher objective? What's the higher purpose? Picking battles is crucial in life. I think a lot of adulthood is really just picking your battles and picking and choosing what's worth giving energy to or not. And I don't know that we're always aware of when we're giving energy to useless things. And I remember at the end of a working day as well, I remember messaging a friend of mine and saying, oh, look at all this stuff that happened. I need the number for this person because I want to report. I want to talk about the process. I want to talk about this, and this needs to be adjusted. And my friend literally said to me, you like stress. I said, what do you mean I like stress? The thing that was supposed to happen, it didn't happen the right way. What do you mean I like stress? I'm trying to correct. You know, and initially I was so offended by it. I was like, you know what? Screw you. It's my fault. It's my fault for messaging you to talk to you about this issue. Girl, it's my fault. You know? But when I settled down, I put some food in my stomach and I got a little bit of rest, I was like, am I really picking the right battles? Is it a battle? I know that I'm a sucker for trying to correct a situation. If I see that there's a problem somewhere, I typically want to fix the problem. I can't help it. It's the way my brain is wired. I start thinking of, okay, how do I make sure this person knows, or this company knows, or the product team knows that there was a problem with the product or the service or the process that I was supposed to go through, so that it can be better the next time that I go through it or somebody else goes through it. It's a really fine line. I don't think it's easy to determine that all the time. But I do know that the older I get and the more life sort of continues, I don't have a lot of energy to waste. I don't have a lot of time to waste. The more you focus on a thing, you give it so much energy. When you're, as much as one wants to correct a problem, if all you're doing is analyzing how everything went wrong, your brain leans into that pattern of behavior. And I've discovered personally, and this is again, as I do in the StormCast sometimes, this is me just sharing very personally with you, I have trained my brain to recognize problems. So a lot of my life, all I've seen are the reasons why things could go wrong or where the potential problem is. It can be a useful skill set, not gonna lie. Is it problem solving? Is it problem projecting? Is it problem predicting? Can be a useful skill set, but it is also incredibly draining. It is also incredibly damaging psychologically. When all you do is see problems, you begin to expect only problems. You don't expect success. You don't expect victory. You don't expect to win. And I wonder how many of you guys have this problem without realizing that this is an issue, where every time you think of the possibility of venturing into something new, or you're trying something you've never tried before, or sometimes even doing something you've done before, how many times do you expect it to just not work? How often do you look at it and you're like, oh God, is this thing really, maybe it's not going to, I don't know. It's what you're giving energy to. It's what you've trained your brain to do, to only see the problems. You're not picking your battles correctly. You're not picking the right battles. And that's a huge issue. So this is my self-aware moment that I'm sharing with you to say, yeah, don't stop doing that. Like pick your battle. Stop doing that. Don't just look at a thing and be like, oh yeah, well, this is the problem. It's self-preservation. That's wisdom. Okay. And for me, this is also a boundary thing. It's like creating a personal boundary even for yourself and recognizing those boundaries as battle lines, because sometimes and quite often the battle isn't with an external foe. It's with you. It's with your own brain. Sometimes it's with yourself and the pressure to compromise your own standards. And maybe it's not even pressure to compromise your own standards, but the lack of awareness that you are compromising your standards, that you are compromising yourself, that you are compromising your boundaries by leaping without looking, by not being a person of integrity when you say, okay, this is the thing, this is what we're going to get done, and you don't get that done. You know, that strategic retreat is way more powerful than we realize it is. So in your own life now, the metrics that you use, if something deserves your emotional investment, is what? So for me, if I go into, let's say, podcasting, for example, what do I think of that deserves that emotional investment? I think it's curiosity. It's often from a place of curiosity. It's like, okay, what's the knowledge that I can share? So I kind of flip that bit of my brain where I'm looking at problems, and it's more like, okay, what's the solution? What's the thing I can learn from this person's life? What's the thing I can share about my life and my personal experiences that maybe somebody else can lean into that helps them in the way that they move forward? For acting, it's about the team. And when I say the team, because usually my acting work is for film, it's for screen. So I'm thinking, okay, who's the entire production team? What is this worth to me? And I start thinking about what are the team players like? Do you have problematic people? And the reason the team is so important is because recently, another issue, guys, so many things come up. I don't know if you guys saw on Instagram, Taye Arimoro, who I love. I think he's such a brilliant actor. And I think as a person, he's someone who has a lot of integrity. Recently did an Instagram live, and then it was recorded, because I saw the recorded version, I was asleep, where he showed literally blood in his mouth. He showed that he'd just been attacked on a film set. And I thought, what? It was someone's film set. I'm going to give you the name now. Hang on. Because I believe that you should call out things that aren't really done right. Now, I'm not saying that he's necessarily blameless or faultless. I have not spoken to him since I've seen the video. I do intend to call him right after this podcast to see what's going on. But for me, under no circumstances should anybody be assaulted on a film set, not to talk of an actor. And the reason allegedly he was assaulted on this film set and the tires of his car deflated is because he said he was too tired to continue working and he wanted to go home. He wanted to go home. Then they tried to hold his car keys. They tried to physically stop him, at which point, shout out to those who go to the gym and the gym life. He was not going to have it. He's not taking nonsense from you. Why are you putting your hands on him? Why are you doing that? And then in the background, you have people yelling, you are painting yourself as a saint. Eh? You not talk about how some blood is coming out from somebody's ear. I was like, if you touch me, you gonna get some, bro. I don't condone violence, but I do condone self-defense. If you are physically putting your hands on somebody to restrain them or stop them from exercising their rights to freedom of movement on or off your set, you can get some too. That's what are we doing? I need to find whose film set this was. Wait. On a film set with Peggy Ovire and her team, her driver assaulted him, the PM, everybody got some, but Taye fought his way free. And I just thought, that's crazy. This is why, for me, a big boundary is whether I'm going to give my energy as an actor to certain productions, to certain people, is really down to who are the team? What are they known for? What have they done or not done? It is not for you to then be defending assault. It should never have happened, point blank, period. This is not a man who is erratic by any stretch of the imagination. If he reacted in a physical way, it is most likely that he was provoked to that physical reaction. And that is the case with most, well, let me not say most actors. Let me just respect myself. Because I've also seen some actors are badly behaved. People don't, try and have sense. But there are boundaries. So this is what I mean, like picking your battles. Is it worth that physical altercation? I personally don't feel like you should raise your hands for any reason, except in self-defense. If you put your hands on me, personally, that's a boundary. And you are going to hear about it. Even if I have to go down swinging, like you're going to hear about it, because why are you touching me? Why are you physically restraining me? Why have we got to that place? And again, just talking about that emotional, it's hard, like navigating that emotional space between what your boundaries are and personal integrity, because also where's the integrity of the rest of the crew, where's the integrity of the rest of the team? And unfortunately, it's not the first time that we've seen an actor in this situation. I remember that Chief Femi Branch, another Nigerian actor, I saw the same thing happen recently or a few months ago. And that was another incident where it's like, it's bad behavior. It shouldn't be the case at all. So, it's just something I really want all of us to think about. It's something that I've been thinking about a lot. Like, where is it worth putting your energy? When is it worth putting your energy in certain directions? And how do you make sure that you just maintain a certain level of personal integrity so that even when there is an issue, when it seems like you're acting out of character, people will speak up for you? Because that's the case with Taye for me. The reason I'm here, like even mentioning it at all, is because I feel like he's always conducted himself with so much integrity. I feel like he's always conducted himself in a really upright manner. So when I see an incident being posted where someone's been physically violent with him, I automatically feel like, yeah, he was provoked or pushed to that level. I really always want to be that person that if they say, oh, Folu got something happened, there was an incident with Folu, people be like, what did you do to her? You know what I mean? And the other day when I was recording not just this podcast but another work situation, I got very close when I really felt my ego get in the way, when I really was in my feelings, when I was about to jump above and around the chain of command, and I was about to overstep that boundary. I was like, hang on, think about it. It came real close. So, I really always hope that in the way that I conduct myself, and I wonder for you guys as well, in the way that you conduct yourself, whether you can honestly, hand to heart say that you're living with integrity and you're really trying to navigate effectively, or that you're effectively navigating that space between allowing your personal emotions to and the conflict between the personal emotions and boundaries and overstepping boundaries. Then that still also ties into this desire to be seen. But speaking of being seen and being recognized, recently I was recognized for I was nominated in an awards category. Big shout out to the Bon Awards. It's happening on the 14th of December, which is very, very cool. So the film I was in earlier this year that I kept talking about on the podcast, Red Circle, is back again with nominations, because nomination season is coming up, and Red Circle has been nominated in several categories in the Bon Awards that are coming up on the 14th of December. And one of those categories, I was nominated as a personal nomination for me for my performance in Red Circle, is for Best Actress. And it was really cool. And I remember when the nomination came out, I was like, oh, dope, I'm going to post about it immediately. Everybody should know. And then I kept forgetting. And then I was pushing it off. And I was like getting stressed about how to post it and what it would look like. And when I eventually did post it, the feedback has been phenomenal. For everybody that sent me congratulations, thank you so much. In fact, the congratulations were so much that I think that people think that I won the award, as opposed to just being nominated for the award. And it made me so anxious about it. And I was like, guys, it's only nomination, no, but I mean, it's an honor, but it's only nomination. And in that space, you know, it had me thinking about the desire that as humans we have to be seen and to be recognized and to be celebrated, versus sometimes the desire to not be seen and what that's about. It's nice to be validated for hard work. Is nice to have some kind of external validation, you know, award, accolade, praise. It's dope. But you see, the internet and social media has amplified this thing to the nth degree, and it's crazy. From highlight reels, there is this huge we're in the era of packaging, we're in the era of perception over reality, we're in the era of, if you are not being recognized and validated externally, are you really doing anything? Are you really working? And it drives me crazy. I know I keep talking about it, and anyone who knows me personally knows that this has been a hobby horse, because I just can't believe how quickly this situation has escalated, and the internet has made it more possible. And I love that people are being celebrated. I love that people are being validated, but should it be over the real work that's being done? I don't know. Is the goal now just to be validated or just to be recognized over doing really good work and having people enjoy the work and embrace the work? And even the type of validation as well. I recently was in like an international advert, which is very cool, and it's very cool. It's a very cool thing, you know. But I was in there for a couple of seconds, and I think I got more external praise and recognition on social media for that than I have for any of the long form work that I've done, which to me has been way more emotionally fulfilling, and I think has been a lot more impactful. In my brain, this short advert that has me in it for a couple of seconds, how often are people going to see that? What real impact is that having in lives? I know there's the impact of, you know, we belong also in international spaces, and I think that's fantastic, and that's a real thing, and I want that. But what is with the I don't know, exaggerated value of that external gaze over everything else that's happening, that's being done? Is it just me? Am I crazy? Guys, drop in the comments. If you're still listening to this point and you got this far in the podcast, I don't know, put like a little question mark. Question mark? Yeah, put a question mark emoji. I want to see that. I just want to know who's listening up until this point. I feel like there's a real danger of obsession, you know. There's a danger of recognition being the goal as opposed to being a byproduct of excellent work. And for me, as part of my boundaries and the structures that I try to put around my life, I'm always trying to sensitize myself to check what my orientation is, to check whether I'm doing things just for an external gaze or whether I'm trying to do really good work as well. And you know, it's really back to this, to value. What do we perceive as valuable? What is truly valuable to us? And how do we measure success? How do you measure success? What are we saying to ourselves as individuals, as a collective, and the collective being Black people, the collective also being African people, the collective being Nigerians? What are we saying is valuable? What are we saying is important? And how is that affecting the way that we grow as a collective? Yeah, like to me, that's really something to genuinely really like ponder and think about. For me, value exists in the impact I think I have on other people's lives and the impact I have on structures that are being built. When I'm able to contribute to, in film, for example, a production, and we see the end result, and the story has come out the way that the director planned, or that the producer envisioned, or that the writer foresaw, I'm so excited. I'm so happy. I'm like, oh, great. The story's going to travel. It's going to go places. Like, it's come together as it should. That's really valuable to me. With the work I do as a lawyer, when people come with problems and they're trying to figure out how to navigate and build structures in their lives, when they're trying to figure out how to interact with another business in a way that helps them propel or move forward. And I'm able to say, okay, right, let's look at it this way. Do you want to talk? What is your goal? Do you want to talk like this? Okay, we can structure it this way. That's incredibly valuable to me. And I believe it's valuable to the client as well. When people feel there is an injustice that's happening and they need guidance, they're like, okay, what is the direction you go? To be able to assist in that way, that's incredibly valuable. The other stuff after, the sitting on a panel and like, oh yeah, I'm a lawyer, I'm this, I'm that, I'm that. Yeah, that's cool. But that's not the purpose. That's not the goal. I think value really lies in purpose. And it lies in being able to build something that lasts beyond the moment, that lasts beyond the flash. It lies in really being able to grow an aspect of a person's life, mine included. I think that's incredibly valuable. So yeah, I think that's really what I just wanted to share with you guys today, and I'm going to keep it short and brief. Is let's just try to be as mindful as possible, and I say this again to myself, about picking my battles, how I prioritize integrity, and how I prioritize boundaries over personal emotion. Recognizing that there is structure to things and there should be order, but also recognizing that part of the boundary is not just looking for problems, because when you look for problems, you just be in a fighting mode all the time, and you can't be moving that way. There's peace also to be found in setting those boundaries and in recognizing what value is internally. That's valuable, and there's peace to be found in internal validation. So yeah, I think true strength and true value, it lies not in external displays of power, but in quiet, consistent commitment to integrity and self-awareness. I think that's where true power lies, you know? Yeah, so that's it. But coming up on the StormCast, guys, you are in for a ride over this new season, this new space in what we're doing. I'm going to be talking to different guests, so it's not just me. I will also be chatting with people, also sharing my internal musings and discovering a little bit more. The guests that are coming on are predominantly people whose careers I'm interested in, people whose personalities I'm interested in, and people who I just like. I just enjoy chatting with them, and I feel like you'll enjoy our little conversations as well. So please do comment. Let me know the parts of the StormCast that you like, what you think about the new space and the new set and how it's sounding and how it's looking. Let me know if there's anyone in particular you also want to see on the StormCast. But until next time, I'm sending you so much love and light by Storms. That's it. Bye-bye.